coming in. Nick, what are your expectations for this brawl?
Do you hear that? It's the copium, Parker. EU, when they were down 0-2 last time around, what happened? Tell me right now.
You came back.
Reverse sweep, correct? 3-2.
Right.
EU is down 0-2 once again.
Right.
Is it possible?
Is it possible?
It's always possible. So what's on the menu is copium. Milosh said it first. I'll just reiterate it. I think it's possible. The bans right now are the Ying ban from TSM, which is interesting because they played themselves as well, but they want to ensure that when it comes to that basement defense, that Team Empire cannot crutch onto that Ying operator and make their lives easier for themselves. So the Ying's off the table. So was the Mira, so was the Valkyrie, and so is the Thatcher. So quite standard operator bans here from both teams. The Ying and Oregon is a team that most... the Ying and Oregon is something that most teams play these days, but it was kind of started by SSG from North America, so TSM, they're very well versed in what this operator can do.
A lot of the top NA teams like this Ying on Oregon because A, you can bring the hard breach gadget, the secondary hard breach gadget, but you also have the ability to chew through Aruni gates, chew through ADSs, Wamai discs, which by the way, will be present. Wamai, despite being banned in the previous map, will be back again and expect to see a decently high pick rate from this operator. He was seen quite often back in map number 1 on Clubhouse. Between these three maps, Oregon and Clubhouse tend to share more similarities than either do with Cafe. So you're going to see, potentially, a lot of Wamai in action. Hilariously, in our very first round, there's no Wamai on the board.
I was going to point that out.
It's just the Jaeger with his ADSs. But there's also no Aruni. Teams like to bring Aruni, they like to bring Jaeger, they like to bring Wamai when they defend downstairs, then bring a shotgun and one more flex operator. That's okay for a good lineup. TSM, they're bringing a castle. And are they going to play off-site? The answer immediately, yes.
We know what they like to do because they did the exact same thing against FaZe. Not necessarily this particular setup on Oregon, but they want to get active on the map. They want to challenge their attackers. They want to make it difficult for them to get any footing in the map, and they want to basically make sure that Team Empire has to fight for every area to even peek, to get information, etc. Dan has used his Gone 6 on the barricade on that double door to blue, and Joystick has sneaked up inside the dining kitchen area. On TSM, well, they're creeping up above. It's no other than Merc leading his team once again from the aggressive front line, and he's about to fight the entry of Joystick. Nade in hand, and this nade might just read the situation, but it does no damage because the ground that Merc sits upon is non-penetrable, it is non-destroyable, so he survives at full health.
Immediately, the Adrenal Surge hit. It doesn't get Joystick back to full HP, but at least a little bit more health in that department. Merc still from above. He watches one angle, down goes Dan, and now Merc gets away with his life intact. A successful roam in the first pick goes to TSM again. Dan was cannon fodder all the way back on Clubhouse. The first round of Oregon, it's the same story, and Joystick as well. TSM having free range of this roam.
And let me just take one more hit real quick. All right, we're back up into it. So Empire is a 3 vs 5. They can still come back. They can still do it. They can still win the round because it's not over.
Hello, production. Can you hear me? Yeah. Can you get the copium vape off of the table, please? Yeah. He just keeps hitting over.
Come on.
Over. Oh my God. I'm
it's
sorry.
Parker.
Wasn't holding
there are more rounds to go.
I was not holding the button down.
We need the machine back because there are so many more rounds to go.
You've got the Russian machine. That's the one that's representing Europe at the moment. But guess what? Machine might not be broken, but she's not in good shape at this moment. That's still about half of the round to go, closing it on the 1 minute mark. A Flores is so impactful on this map. Expect to see Empire bringing it quite often, especially when you're going to try to pull off any execute that involves blue. But the problem is that you've lost too many bodies. The attackers being at a disadvantage is already bad because you lose another player when that diffuser goes down for 7 seconds. And Shepard has been one of the most consistent players on the team. So you don't want him out of action if you can avoid it.
Yeah, I mean, Empire, they have no ground here. I'm not sure what that thermite charge is about, if they just want to hold an angle with it, because they can't do much other than that. And Cypher's on that freezer hatch, Shepard on the freezer stairs, and always on the laundry. This is going to be a desperate attempt of an attack. We're going to walk on through, take the gunfights, and see what we can do. Empire, 20 seconds.
And there's Geo taking a lot of damage, Merc as well. A couple bullets can swing this completely in their favor, but they're at risk of stalling out. There goes Bolo. TSM need to hang on. They might actually be in worse spot right now, and it gets better for Empire. They're now in a 2v3, still dwindling, but TSM waiting. A big kill from Shepard. Into the bomb site he goes, but he's swatted away, and it's simply a way for TSM to stay alive. Round 1 on defense of Oregon. Breaks in TSM's favor.
That was so close. The one massive problem that Team Empire ran into was that, well, the diffuser's on Shepard, who was on Maverick inside a freezer, and he could not get to the laundry side. There was no rotate on the freezer wall, as there typically isn't. So they had to go deep for kills. The time ran out, and of course, when you're sprinting into side in desperation, you will be met with a gun from TSM that shuts them down dead in their tracks. What a nice try from Empire on the back of that 3 versus 5. We see double kill here from Achieved. Nice shot onto Dan. He didn't really even into the building, and Bolo with a really tight angle onto that freezer hole really gets another one onto Joystick. Then it's a trade, it's a brawl back and forth, always, and a Shepard trying to make it work, but without the rotate here and not having time to use the torchlight for the canister, well, you just can't make a way through. TSM, they hold the line, Child with the shotgun in hand, takes out the only member that mattered. It was a Shepard with the diffuser. And with that being said, we have a situation on our hands. We are going to get all that bad voodoo out of the server once again. Just doing a quick restart before we get back into the following.
At SI, the 19th team to go home. That leaves TSM as the winner. That extended break, does it help Empire at all? Or do you think they just want to get into the server and just start going?
I don't think the break's gonna help Empire because you don't have much to work with, right? You lost the opening pick, and then you lost the second, and then like that was basically the round. It was a nice try, but realistically the round ended at like the 1 minute mark. If you're Empire, the best case scenario for you is if you gain a little bit of momentum and you make TSM feel like the hammer is slipping away, because with each and every single round that they can accumulate now in Oregon, TSM can literally feel that hammer closing in. So Empire, if you can cut that right there and make them feel like it's slipping instead, that's how you get them, right? The mental game. If you win a round, like a crazy clutch that TSM should have locked and loaded, that's how you get the mental back into the game. But you have a very long path ahead of you with your Empire, because winning Oregon's just the beginning, it's not the end. So buckle up, get some popcorn, grab a drink or something, because Empire, they gotta bring it all the way, all 5 maps to have a chance to win. If not, TSM walks away with it. We are on it once again, this map roam from TSM. It's a Kid Storm defense. We've gone down below. We're using the castle each and every single time. And you could argue, maybe Empire should have considered banning the castle because it's being brought so well from TSM. And it's Geo on that operator as well, who had like 3 clutches so far throughout this series. We're only on map 3. But the castle lives on. It is not banned out. It is the Valkyrie and the Mira. And Dan, once again, using that gun 6 early on, is now alone inside a double blue door.
I feel like we can make copium jokes all day, but I'm going to say, and I can go out here, I don't care which either of these teams win. I don't care who wins. It doesn't trouble me at all, and I go into almost every single match thinking, okay, what's the better storyline? How is that going to make the cast any better? And what does the narrative look like moving forward? But I just want a competitive match, and so far, Empire have been asleep at the wheel. They need to wake up and gain control, because they are getting dangerously close to where they cannot course correct. Hey! Okay, Dan, not a bad start at all. 2 picks, if there's anybody who needs to wake up in this match.
That's the first time, I think, where Empire looked at that a 3-step plan, right? Get Dan down below, then breach the wall, force them to fall away, and then cut off their rotation. That is what they need to be doing, and it's what TSM has been so good at so far. Good job, Dan.
Well, he's going to continue to roll on with the rest of the team up to the top of White Stairs. This is a danger zone for North America, by the way. The scariest part of this map for NA fans is the top of White Stairs, and Empire knows that all too well. Joystick on a reconnaissance mission. And whether that Gemini will last much longer is anybody's guess. TSM waits now with a minute to go. This bomb site really does work for you if Empire can get another pick. it's very easy for the defenders to get overrun. But right now, even in a 3v5, it's a very winnable prospect. Geo narrows those numbers down, taking out Dan. Scyther's outside on the balcony, being watched by a bulletproof camera. This might necessitate a need, but nice shot as Geo peeks and Scyther through the soft wall. Gives Team Empire that same advantage. Down goes Chala. And this pause, apparently, helping them an awful lot. Merc steps into action, diffuser going down, smokes from the attackers, but it's Merc now to get into the bomb site amidst the smoke. He has no idea, a single kill to his name, but it's impactless at the moment. Trapped inside of dorms, diffuser by the window. You have to kill all three of the opponents. There's no way you're gonna be able to get to that diffuser in time. You also see from Empire, they've gone down below. So Merc will buy time. He's the IGL of the team. He can't really spend it talking with the rest of them, but he knows how impossible this is. A Herculean task, trying to carry an entire team, just trying to fill time. Nice shot onto Always, but they're playing keep away as he baits it out, and then will get promptly swung on the window. He knows exactly where they are. He gets stunned in the run out. A nice kill, but he's out of time. Valiant effort for Merc. Majorly impactless kills. And finally, Empire put him out of his misery.
And while those kills, they are completely impactless and like they shouldn't even be counted on the scoreboard in a sense, they actually speak to the strength of TSM and Merc as a team and as a player, right? Because the fact that you find 3 kills there with 1 HP and make that 1 versus 3 a 1 versus 2, well, Empire, they played it disciplined, but there were still gaps. Like, sure, one person was down below, that was Sophia. Then they had one guy on that upside down window rappel, and the third guy just all the way out next to small tower window. There wasn't a trade. So while it didn't matter, it does speak to how TSM are taking advantage of the gaps in the attacking lineup of Team Empire. Real nice wallbang there from Cypher, opened up the round for them. Then we see Merc just doing Merc things, finding the most ridiculous kills. That's 1-1 as Empire takes Kid Storm defense.
Really in commanding fashion, right? The entry from Dan completely threw TSM off. You could see that how they had no real way to pivot after that. The first pick from Dan becomes a second pick from Dan. You've taken out 2 incredibly strong players in both Achieved and Bolo who are incredibly fluid on the roam.
And it also speaks to them because TSM are doing the exact same setup, so clearly they also think that's a fluke, right? That shouldn't be happening, that's a blunder. So we go again, and this time, well, either we'll have a player down below, that's Achieved right now, to deny that entry point, or we will simply just not fall back through the hatch, we'll go in a different avenue. So TSM believed that the bomb site and the strategy wasn't the problem, but more so that Empire got quote-unquote lucky. And I will agree with them. You know, Dan is not supposed to find that double kill, but that's because Empire played that specific isolated round extremely well. Now the question comes, can Empire adapt to TSM's adaptation and close out the second round in a row?
Empire desperately need to find their footing, Nick, as we've talked about, and they seem to have done that in round number 2. That was a good start.
It was a good start.
You need more of those. Empire on map number 2 of Cafe had a strong round, immediately answered back by 2 strong rounds from TSM. 3 strong rounds, actually, after their second as well. So TSM just never relented. And that's actually been one of the big stories, is how these teams that we've seen so far, they just keep going. That was the main focal point for FaZe Clan whenever people casted them, was how FaZe just never gave up.
Oh. It's true. And TSM, I mean, they've had momentum the entire series. Even when they're not, like, leading in rounds, the rounds they are playing themselves, they've been controlling the pace. And you see it here again, Merc instantly retakes big tower, shoots both drones, and now Empire. You've gained nothing with this.
I mean, you've opened up some of it, and you've got Merc's attention, but that's about it. Could Empire pull something off? Oh, Merc!
Never mind.
Oh, no, you were praising him.
I was going to say he gets a free kill, but he became the free kill.
Things that we said about Merc. And what a blunder we witness.
But Empire needs this, right? Because that's their way back into this momentum-wise. That's the opening. That's the snowball. It's small right now, but it grows in size. And Joystick inside of Kitchen finds another one.
On to Bolo, who's roaming. Down goes Achieved. Empire putting on a clinic at the moment, showing why this is their map. An Adrenal Surge from Dan can come out and pick up Joystick, but it's Geo to finish it off and head back to White Stairs. Geo and White Stairs is not a mix that you want to be hearing all that regularly. He was on that EG team, And now he's on the TSM team, who just got crushed on Dorms 2 rounds in a row. After round 3, Empire take the lead.
Look at that confidence from Empire. They flooded the bomb site instantaneously. The moment Merc got taken out, that was a complete game changer. It looked like Empire was completely stuck. They had gained no ground. They went big tower, opened up the wall, and then they just left it. And, well, it may be someone was on a Jones saying, oh, Merc's inside a big tower, Merc's inside a big tower. But I don't think that's the case. I just think Dan was in the right place at the right time and managed to save his teammate. And, of course, you can also argue that, at the very least, Merc should have gotten that 1 kill, then got traded. But sometimes, I guess Guts can bleed and Guts can miss, because he whiffed every single bullet, which never happens.
How different does that round go, by the way, if Merc gets that kill? Merc gets the kill on to Shepard. That's basically your full execute. That's one player that can't open up the wall. Now you don't have that same level of confidence that Empire has. You don't have the same ability to then maneuver back over into Master, open up closet wall, and try to get a plant down. I mean, hell, Empire didn't even need to get the plant down in that round. They were just so strong in their engagements on their own. And again, the roam is what falls apart 2 rounds in a row. And not even just falling apart, because Empire actually read into the roam quite effectively. So you have to wag your finger at TSM while giving a tip of the cap to Team Empire.
That you did. The only argument I would make for why that round might have just continued up succeeding is because Joystick, while that happened, had snuck into dining kitchen area and found Bolo as well. And he wasn't alone, because he was acting from a yellow ping from a teammate, supposedly on a drone of some sort of information. So even if Merc had traded 1 for 1, Bolo will still go down from Joystick, making that a 4 versus 3. And while it slows down the attack from Empire, because the Maverick Torch won't be available, I don't think it's a game breaker. Bolo this time around plays it a bit more safe, as Joystick will contest. Now falling back this staircase. TSM not roaming on this basement round. They will play it safe and sound on the bomb side. And Empire, well, got a ton of utility. 6 grenades, 3 flashbangs, 2 smokes, and 4 Retaro drones. They're so prepared for this.
They absolutely are. Just chock full of goodies, as you want to say. Stacked to the gills, I guess you could as well. The big story so far through these 3 rounds has been Dan's emergence as a threat. He was not effective on Clubhouse, not the way that he needed, and actually costed his team a couple rounds, dying haplessly and needlessly. But he has shown that he can now be droned in effectively and is playing with more confidence. Out of all the players on Empire, Dan is the one player who does tend to show the most emotions. So if he can keep a level head, the whole team is going to be in good position. Halfway point here of round number 4. It's a basement defense from TSM down below. Hatches are getting opened up, and as you talked about, there's still lots of utility from the attackers to clear out the goods.
There's no kite on the board from TSM, so these hatches will get opened up rather quickly from those exothermic charges. The kite will slow things down, force the Maverick to use the torch, but, well, that's not going to be the case this time. 1 minute and 15 seconds left in Empire. They have a ton of things to work with, and they're clearly wanting to put their eyes in that backside area. Blue and big tower stairs with that meeting hatch drop, and this Retaro drone will clear out some utility inside of blue.
Oh, and it goes off yet again. Another. There's still at least 1 more for Scyther. It looks like 2, actually.
Or keep sending them in.
And he's just going to continue the battalion of drones. Nitro Cell goes off on a Dan. Adrenal Surge is down. Grenades also potentially down. 1 more tossed in from Joystick as smoke obscures the hatch. I don't know if that was properly timed, but it might actually stop Empire from going in as much as they want. Tons of nades sailing into the bomb site, and 1 does connect onto Geo, but that's about it. Team damage done to Always. Joystick picking off Achieve. That's all that he's going to get. Bolo almost gets the spray transfer, and now it's Empire falling apart. In the midst of the toxic canister, Shepard has to retreat. Diffuser's down as well. They need to pick it up. Look at Always' HP. He can't really cover. If there's a single bit of damage done to him, he's as good as dead. Both players from Empire will walk in the same direction. TSM showing great restraint. Always gives himself away. They want to bait out any nitro cells or toxic canisters. There's none to be found. Only bullets. And the bullets from TSM, they're good. Merc with the final 2 kills. And these teams far more even on Oregon through 4 rounds.
Team Empire tried to bait out the plant there at the end of that 2 versus 3, but Chala stayed inside of blue elbow, and that means that there's a possible flame to come through if Empire goes to the plant. That means if you're Empire, you have to just find the picks, but TSM, they play disciplined, proning, waiting, setting up that crossfire. They know how to play those 2v3 situations, how to abuse the fact that Empire are working against the clock, and this C4, the opening kill, really swayed this round in favor of TSM.
It absolutely did. A nice nade tossed out as we got to see. Joystick and back tower stairs was so strong for Empire, and it ends up being a very critical part of the map. Time and time again, if a team cannot wrestle control of Pillar, you are not going to be able to get in and get a default plant down, even if you have that hatch control and box control as well. So TSM, unrelenting, getting the pick on the Joystick, not surrendering Pillar control, allowing Merc while the other two teammates to stand pat and have Merc go through the hallway to flank Pillar is exactly what enables that style of play. And time again, we bring him up. What a glow up it's been from Merc. There were rumors floating around the time of the Mexico Major of dropping Merc from this squad. Issues with potentially attitude, consistency. We don't really know why. But what a mistake it would have been. Look at where this team is right now. Even if Empire 3-2 TSM, you have to look at Merc's contributions through those first two maps and all the other maps to get here and realize that he is the reason for this success of this team right now. And he deserves that praise, and he deserves it quite loud.
I fully agree. And I mean, I myself, I've had doubts about Merc earlier. I was kind of vocal on Twitter about how I was unsure about TSM's success at Invitationals, like I was of North America as a region. And I'm eating my words right now because North America, while as a region, might not have been the best. TSM definitely are.
I have two questions for you. First question, how dare you?
I'm sorry.
Second question, how do they taste? How do those words taste?
Bitter, sour, not sweet, that's for sure. But I will say it, TSM has been looking like the top 2 team in the world at this event. I think them and Liquid have been my 2 favorites so far. Empire, they've been a 3rd location, but in this series, they're outmatched by TSM so far.
Hold on a second. Empire here is setting a very fast tempo. And I think with the sound of the LMG, they know that they need to get out of there. Nade cooked. Attic opened up. Dan wary of a nitro cell getting dropped on him through that opening. And I think that's very wise to do that. Bolo has one in his pocket. That's the player inside of Attic for TSM. This is a meeting defense, the tertiary bomb site for these teams. And again, dorms will be a big focal point.
That it will, and we see now Empire getting a little bit stuck, but then finds an opening, goes to Bolo. That's the Goyo off the board. No big losses, but Merc is so low on health now as well under smoke.
Needs to try to ride this one out as the toxic canisters continue to go. I think at this point you don't want to die with any of them in your pocket. They are not a persistent gadget. Merc has expended all of them now. Dan and Bolo have been the story. We talked about Dan already, but what about Bolo? Bolo has been ineffective on the roam so far. He hasn't even been able to hold map control because Dan is just this machine that continues to chew up land and push forward. Picks up a second kill.
And
all of TSM are gone. Dan picks up 3, but look at Merc.
Oh, not again.
They don't know he's here. Merc fires a little bit too early. He's not going to get anything for it, but now they know where he is. Merc, you didn't believe in the shotgun enough. It's the nade to now sail in. Merc flushed out. Chala in a 1v5, and he has to get out of the bomb site. He won't do that, by the way. It's a 4K from Dan, and a flawless round gives Empire the lead.
It's been confirmed. Merc is in possession of the invisibility cloak because once again, whether it's him flanking or staying in a corner, not moving a muscle, he will always somehow manage to not get droned out or found. Unfortunately for him, the highlight reel stops right there. The previous round, when they were on the defense on Kid Storms, he had the whiff on antenna window. And that round, I wouldn't say it was a blunder. The shotgun does shotgun things sometimes if you don't believe in it hard enough. But that could have been 2 massive kills that barely did any damage. Not his fault, I will say one more time. The shotgun can just be inconsistent sometimes. You gotta believe a lot in it, and they'll believe in you as well. But Team Empire, they're finally starting to find some ground, and their celebrations are looking a lot happier as well. They understand the position that they're in, and if anything, I think they're just enjoying the fact that they're on this grand final stage, and now they're playing a bit more loose and a bit more, or having a bit more fun, and then 8-2 in 5 rounds. That's the big name right now, finding so many openings for Team Empire.
All right, well, Back up to dorms, TSM will go because laundry is locked. That was the only bomb site that TSM was able to hang their hat on so far. Look at what is unfolding in front of us. Empire successful on both executes onto this bomb site, Nick. 2 attempts on dorms, and Empire are perfect on it. Even on meeting, where Empire had to deal with most of the defense in that exact same spot. Empire win that one too. They very clearly like and are comfortable with the top floor of Oregon. Another thing to note, if you'd like to reference the Oregon stats, is that it is a defender-sided map. TSM are not winning on the more favorable side traditionally, and that is a problem.
Yeah, it's the same story as the first map of Clubhouse, where it's like 54% favored on one side. Oregon is defender favored, launcher supply being the most at 62% overall. But honestly, the stats don't matter in this case. These are the best teams in the world. What happens, or what matters the most, is how they choose to play out these rounds, and more importantly, the adaptation. When you see a bomb for the first time, that's your immediate impression of how a team plays around it. Then, well, how does a defending team adapt on their second time? And then more importantly, how does Empire on their attacks now change their situation? So far, it's been Dan. Every round Empire's won, he had a big hand in it. Whether it's getting 2 opening kills or a single opening kill, or just being in the right position at the right time to help his teammates, it's Dan. So if Empire, they need to find a different avenue to open up these rounds than a single player. And right now, actually, with only half the round to go, they've done good progress so far. Cleared out the jammer, breached open the wall, done a little bit of verticality. Dan was sneaking around Big Tower, but nobody from TSM was all there.
Yeah, absolutely. A good tempo being set by Empire at the moment as they've opened up that wall leading into games. That's the old generator wall, if you hear people refer to it as Gen still. It's just a holdover from before. Yep. Dan on 8 kills through 5 rounds of action. He's really made this half his own, and he's got his team to back him up. Gone 6 goes, but that's a miss. You gotta be a little bit more accurate with that ADS because that shield is so critical. There it goes, and it sounds like the fire will spread from the Goyo behind it, and yes, indeed. Oh no, Chala worried about the play at the top of the stairs, but Bolo on the flank. Chala thought that Bolo would be there faster. You lose access to your smoke because of that, and again, it's another mistake from TSM that is capitalized upon by Empire.
It is, and they don't have any tools now, but now Empire going deep on a center. They cannot plant that nade, opens up the round. Cypher inside of Kid Storms.
I just can't believe this. They've just barreled on in. The brazenness, a double kill from Dan, but it's achieved to slow it down. Dan is on 1 HP, 10 kills, but 1 HP. Scyther is the one that you have to worry about. And there he is, say the man's name. What do they say? Speak of the devil and the devil shall appear. The first half goes to Empire. They desperately needed something to shake them out of the funk that they were in through those 2 maps. They get it on Oregon, and to the second half they go with the wind at their back.
And now is Empire once again reading out the situation, because Joystick found the opening kill onto Smoke of Chala inside of Kid Storms from the white stairs. Then he got shot down by Bolo below and Goyo. You can very safely assume that Goyo is playing a C4, so instead of planting in that default position, Empire, they push on through, they toss out the grenade, they push with that grenade, and despite the crossfire being there from TSM, they managed to find kill after kill after kill, and yes, Achieve did get a C4 kill eventually, but it wasn't on the planter, and that's important to note.
Dan is so nasty, man. Dan has just been, Dan, you're nasty. That's it. It's my official,
That's your slogan?
That's my official proclamation about you. No real need for me to go too in-depth. As you see the fist bumps go out, let's go through the first half yet again. Through those 6 rounds, it's yet another 4-2 scoreline. This has been through all 3 maps, 4-2 scorelines to start off each half. The thing is that TSM have led both times. This is the first time that Empire have the lead after the first split. Empire getting 4 opening picks. Guess which rounds those were?
The ones they won.
TSM getting 2 opening picks. Guess which rounds those were?
The rounds they won.
Again, the conversion rate for these teams on their first pick has been incredible. And throughout the entire stretch of matches we've seen today, if you get the first pick, you've got an over 80% win rate of going on to win the rest of the round. And I will, once again, I will keep talking to you. I'll beat that information into your head so that you don't ever forget it. Only 1 diffuser was successfully planted outside of that very final round, as I believe the diffuser went down at the last second by Dan again. It's very close. Other than that, one flawless round for Empire. They look in mighty good form going into the second half. Both teams still have their timeouts, and Empire want to put this one away and send us to map number 4.
That to do, and I mean, this first round is quite important for TSM because if you can find back the momentum on this attack inside, you're off to a great start. But if Empire wins this round, make that a 5-2 scoreline, I have to wonder, well, TSM, is it time for a timeout, right? Talk about the game going forward because you have really a lot of room for TSM to make mistakes. You can throw Oregon out the window and say, we don't care, bring us to Villa. We don't care, bring us to Bank. But Empire, complete opposite story. Every round matters so much. They're on this basement defense in the first round. They're playing extremely passive, inviting TSM to the bomb site, allowing them to take map control extremely quickly. And with the Hibana on the board and no Kaid from Team Empire, they're getting a lot of value out of this utility so far. You got 8 grenades and 3 flashbangs, 8 drones to your name. TSM, they got it all.
Well, what did I say about this defender lineup that some teams favor? On the right side of your screen, Scyther, Dan, and Always, all running anti-gadget operators. That's an Aruni and a Wamai and a Jaeger on the board. And that's going to be a lot to cut through. So even with 8 nades and 3 flashbangs, 11 of those. You think about the Wamai discs, you think about the fact that the ADSs can eat a projectile apiece, you think about the Aruni gates. Once you clear those out, you're going to have to be quick before they reset. And a minute to go, that's the pace that TSM is going to have to play off of.
That it is, and this nade is going to define the moment. If this can find something, that's going to be an opening, but it does not, so TSM have to hold still, wait for Empire to make the first move, because you don't want to walk into this crazy amount of gunfire that Team Empire has, and if you're Empire on the side, you can wait quite comfortably. You got 3 more Toxic Babes, but no C4s, and Joystick has to fight against...
I don't know how he lived through that second nade, and he might not either. There's the first one to go down. It's Scyther. TSM get their opening pick. 40 seconds left. Nobody moving a muscle through the hallway, but there's a possible play as it's Bolo and Achieve to break in. 30 seconds to go. They've got the smoke in the hallway. Shepard caught in the crossfire, always in a 1v4, and that's it. There's nobody down from TSM. They've got control of the bomb site. It's always isolated over by Elbow, and Bolo doesn't let him get a single thing. No re-entry to the bomb site. It's denied. TSM pick up their very first round, and we are looking at the moment at an attacker-sided Oregon.
That way, and that's why stats, they are sometimes not the easiest thing to go off of because it obviously impacts other teams and their matchups. That round, TSM, it looked a little bit rough, right? The 5v5 on the bomb side, but what really did it for them was that Achieved dropped that electric hatch at the exact right moment. Huge flank from him. It created so much chaos on the side of Empire that they didn't even know what was happening. And of course, Seer, the first 2 gunfights, I mean, they just been in favor.
Just 52 bullets used on that one, by the way. 48 bullets, I think, after that.
Yeah, that is LMGs can be hard to fight against sometimes, and I also think that's why.
There's no way you just said LMGs are hard to fight against sometimes.
Okay, they're always
as if there's almost always an opportunity where you don't want to fight LMGs. Like, come on.
All right, so if you have an equal weapon, okay, 31 bullet weapon, which like some defenders have, like Jaeger or Doc, Rook, Thunderbird, etc., it's not that bad. But the Roni, the SMG-11, it's bad.
Yeah, I'm in danger.
Yeah, I mean Chuckles, yeah.
Yeah, it's, oh no, hold on a second. There's a Zofia at the breach with 150 bullets. I have the Roni with 16.
Take a guess on who wins that gunfight.
What could possibly go wrong?
I'm a little bit confused about Empire because, like, I think the way TSM plays their basement defenses on both Clubhouse and now on Oregon, the way they extend up and roam and challenge their opponents, I think that's the exact right approach to the game. And Empire, they're doing it really passive with this Wamai, Aruni, Jaeger situation, and I think it's really outdated, and I don't think it's particularly difficult to attack against. I mean, sure, if Joystick can get aggressive and get a kill, that's something, but that's not a strategy. That's a Hail Mary. That's you praying that something works out in your favor.
Absolutely it is. So, 30 seconds off the board, and it's a discovery phase for TSM. The bomb site for Empire remains the same as it was before. A second chance down at Laundry, and what can Empire fix about these mistakes? They like this lineup, by the way.
Yeah, they do, and they're sitting the exact same corner. So, like, look, all 5 players of Empire, they're sitting on a corner within like a 5-meter radius. They're not slowing, again, no Kaid, you're not slowing down this Hibana, tons of value being brought out, no one's killing drones, there's 8 left from TSM. A minute into the round, almost every hatch is blown right open. You have the same situation with the 8 grenades, the 3 flashbangs, whatever. And Empire like, well, we'll adjust and adapt. What are you gonna do differently? Win your gunfight? That's not reliable. Strategically speaking, they haven't changed anything really on the paper.
There are times when you hear casters and analysts talk about things like, oh, you just need to win your ones.
Yeah.
The thing is that it really sometimes just does boil down to that. There is no strategic depth. You are in a position where you will play to die and you want to engage, and if you lose that one, the whole round goes kaput.
But that's just tough, right? Because, I mean, you can argue that every FPS game, every FPS round, it comes down to that 50-50 gunfight. But if you can, also have a strategical way out of that, if it doesn't work out, that to me is a good play. This right here will come down to those 50-50s we just mentioned. Who can play the positions better, TSM or Team Empire?
Well, Shepard is completely blinded over by Elbow. He's got his back to the area where he needs to be. Merc will walk right in, but he gets down. That's the real deal. And Shepard gets the very first kill. There's backup to go in as well. Nade gets tossed out. Scyther softened up, but he scoots away from that one. Shepard on low HP too. So Empire will take their lumps, but they walk away fabulously. Still alive. TSM in bad shape. There's one onto the Magnet. Chala, the very first kill, gets swung on, but the kill feed is both a mix of blue and orange. Both teams sitting in a 3v3. Pillar's control, not quite there. Bolo taking damage, now it's Geo, but he gets traded out with Bolo falling to Scyther, Elbow being watched. The attack from TSM will come from the back of the bomb site. Dan is inside a freezer. He's gonna be the kingmaker for this round. If TSM prevail, they tie things up. Breaking the Aruni gate, but Geo still takes some damage. There's a bulletproof in there, nice shot from Dan. Leaves Achieved in a 1v2, but Empire know this. They'll play keep away. Achieved tries as he best. He won't even find one of the two, and Empire go back to a 2-round lead.
Well done from Empire in that 2 versus 2 to really play it tight. It was again down to that 50-50 gunfight of who injures who. And it was a complete trade fiesta back and forth. Sure, Empire got the opening pick. It was traded back and forth, 3v3, 2v2, etc. And it came down to this final gunfight when TSM pushed on through Electric Box. And we spoke about if TSM loses a round, will they keep on going or will they call a timeout? And so far, yeah, it looks like TSM will say, we will keep on pushing. We don't want to slow down the pace of this game, keep it up right here. Really good trades from Empire, understanding that when they lost the smoke inside of Elbow, they were kind of doomed, right? No one could retake that position necessarily, so it was always who swung out from E-Box, traded his life 1-for-1, which actually was so worth it. When you're playing in that deep pillar area, it can be so difficult to get any kind of value. And well, while Always did indeed die, he guaranteed himself to bring someone else with him, and that is a really good play in this particular situation. That then means the basement has been won once by TSM on the attack, it's been won once by Team Empire on the defense, and now we're going to Kid Storm instead. Neither team on this side half has shown their cards on this particular situation. That means that, well, TSM to scout out exactly what's going on, or Empire playing it aggressive or passive, and of course Team Empire are going to have no idea what TSM is going to do either. First round.
One of the things I will say is that this is proving how closely matched these two teams are. Cafe looks like the outlier at the moment.
Yeah.
Go back to Clubhouse. Yes, it was Empire's pick. Yes, TSM looked like the better team in the first half. Then the side swap came in, and guess what? Empire started to become the better team. And in overtime, TSM win 2 phenomenal rounds back-to-back. Cafe comes out, and it being TSM's map, it really does expose that there are some inadequacies when it comes to the map pool of Team Empire. Oregon, though, you're back on familiar ground. And both of these teams look strong, but TSM gave up a lot of rounds because of bad roams, and Empire capitalized every single time. Your opponents are going to make mistakes no matter what level you're playing at. Even the best teams to play this game have made mistakes, but your opponents need to punish you for them. If they don't, it doesn't matter if you're making those mistakes or not. Empire punished them. They get the commendation for that, and because of that, they've got the lead solely because TSM had some deficiencies on their own roam.
It's a really good point, and I fully agree with it. And I think a lot of people expected Empire to take the first map, then TSM wins Cafe, and then like Oregon is when this like best of 5 truly starts. Because Villa and Bank are not Empire's maps in terms of how good they play on it. And now
I really wanted to talk about what we just saw because, once again, SI always brings the most viewership that we see, and it brings a lot of newer players. How did that thermite charge not blow up the wall? Well, there's a little light fixture in the classroom below. You shoot out some of the floor and throw an impact grenade down. The radius from the impact grenade will go through the floor on the other side of closet and take off the exothermic charge. That is something that doesn't get shown up on the scoreboard. But that is a sexy, sexy thing, my friends, and that can win you the round just by itself.
Yeah, we call that impact triggering or impact deny. Any sort of explosive can do that, you know, above a reinforcement, below a reinforcement. And that's a very cheeky trick you can do. Cypher finds Merc. He's off the board now on this Iana. 6 and 6 to his name, and Dan finds another as well, keeping up Empire's momentum.
This has to be a timeout for TSM if they don't win this round. Maybe even if they do, because things are not going well. But oh, excuse me, where is Achieved to get this 3K? And suddenly TSM have a big lead. It forces Always to get back to the bomb site. Scyther's the only one to hold it down for now, but Always has been droned out. This is even better intel. Always spotted. It's a quad from Achieved. Nade goes in. He'll vault on in, but Geo steals the ace. It doesn't matter who gets the last kill because TSM gets the round.
Achieved got 3 kills, make that 4 from the big window. You'd think that when the first player from Empire falls, no one else would dare peek their head.
You know what we call those?
What?
Freebies.
Throwables, thrown rounds, mistakes, blunders. Okay, I will say this. Maybe off camera, what we didn't see was that Team Empire recognized Achieved was alone, an isolated target, right? And they said, let's swing this player together and eliminate him off the board.
He didn't even peek that, by the way. Like, he didn't lean peek it.
You see it here. He finds one, that's free. Oh, they did try. Oh, that's...
Okay, so...
If the guy jumps out...
Hold on, I'm calling in. That's, I'm looking up the price on that one. I'm looking at, it says here,
You are nasty.
Well, is it a nursery? There's a lot of babies being thrown out there, but you know what that was? I looked up the cost of that, and it's free 99 was actually what it said on 2 of those picks. Still, I think Empire did actually play that correctly, and they peaked at almost the same time. We often talk about how you can't get a kill and then immediately turn and get the other kill. Well, Achieved said, yeah, I can.
Well, the guy on the big window didn't jump out the window. I think that was the one mistake where if the guy impacts the window in small tower and jumps out, then the person near the big window should also jump out so that you're both outside the building, because you know the sort of whereabout, like left or right-hand side of where Achieved will be. But if one person jumps out and the other one holds an angle, you're just once again kind of praying that Achieved makes a mistake. And that impact grenade is obviously going to take all of his attention because it's so loud. So while they tried to isolate a target, they didn't really do it correctly and they got punished. And that means that, well, TSM just won a round they should arguably never have gotten away with. And it was oh so easy for them. You're clearing out the ADSs from this stronghold. You got in. It didn't really hit the mark. So that's utility wasted, if you will. Second nade will try and do the same job, see if you can get it successfully. And there it is.
It's both.
Yep. You get all the ADSs, the shields, etc. And that's how you want to do it.
I believe that also gets the default cam.
Yeah.
So you get the default cam, you get the shield, both of it at the same time. With the way that TSM are playing their nades, they've loved this 8 nade lineup. They've still got 6 left. It's not the end of the world, but it is misused gadgetry. That grenade could go somewhere else to flush somebody out of a particular spot or get used on another gadget. Those are small little mistakes that don't seem that big, but over the course of a round, they add up, and they add up quite quickly, especially when you need to push somebody out of a spot or you've got a prime nade kill lined up. There's 20 seconds left, and you botch that first nade.
Not just that, but you only have one more flashbang, which means you might need to use your grenades to actually clear the ADSs or magnets, then use another grenade to do the damage. So, yes, every single nade matters, so does every single flashbang, and Team Empire on this dining defense, not meeting, they'll try and hold on the forward. Look at Merc on the flank here, inside a green hallway, could make a huge play, but he will say, not just yet. I'm gonna wait a bit longer.
I don't know if he has any intel, that's the real thing. 4 drones in action for TSM, still 2 in their pocket.
Impact grenade?
Tossed out, and I think they might actually be able to get this if there was even put on the wall. I think that's the case. Have they drone Joystick out of this position? Because if so, that's a big miss from TSM.
They have no more exothermic charges left. It's only down to the Mavericks, so Team Empire actually can sit tight inside of showers because they cannot breach the wall.
I like this angle from Always from above, watching the hatch.
Merc going in.
Moment, but Merc is in. He sees an opportunity. Snaps onto the head of Shepard, removes it from his body. Dan is next. Merc has all their attention. The rest of TSM have to follow up. A third from Merc. What are these individual heroics that we're seeing? Diffuser goes down, Joystick boxed out, and Always is the only player to stop a tie game. TSM, they see the opening. They take the opening. And Always now in a position above, where the diffuser will continue to tick away. I said that if TSM don't win that round, they might need to take a timeout. They proved me wrong. Now, all of a sudden, we're going to go into round number 11 with this thing tied up because it's all on Achieve to take out the last player. It was a foregone conclusion that Always was as good as gone, and now it's 5-5. Empire need to find something. If they surrender these next 2 rounds, TSM win the whole thing.
I love the fact that we got to briefly speak about the fact that Merc was looking for that flank with the Gun 6. It was a very readable position because we, as observers, we have that information. But Merc somehow finds not just one, not just 2, he finds 3 kills on the entry. And you asked earlier, what's the purpose really of Merc doing that? And honestly, it's the chaos effect. The second you're inside the bomb site from a flank, that's going to mean every single member of Empire within the perimeter, in the area, they will have to just 180-degree flick, turn around, and change their entire focus off that small dining attack. And then Geo immediately after, the moment Merc gets the kill, runs in and starts planting. Now Empire cannot stop the plant or lose every single member of their team, and it lied somewhere in the middle. They didn't stop the plant, and they also lost every single member of the team because Merc is just so much better. And when he got those first 2 kills, I'm pretty sure I could hear Gotcha from the crowd, if you will, scream. He's like, yes, yes, another one. And TSM, now back-to-back rounds, have absolutely stolen the show.
If Empire lose this, they have to call a timeout. It's that simple.
It's the last one, yeah.
It's your last round. If you do not call a timeout after this round, if you lose, if TSM goes up 6-5, that means they sit on championship point. If you do not call the timeout, and you lose that round, well, I don't need to tell you, I'm no mathematician, but you don't need to know that there's no more rounds for you to call a timeout on.
That's it.
Whereas if you're TSM, I think you can kind of let it go. Though I do think no matter what, the teams are going to want to settle down. The only thing is if the coaches have confidence in their players to play it out. If TSM say, we're ready for any bomb site, we don't need a timeout, then you don't want to give that slight advantage to Empire, who also can talk during the timeout, to possibly get back in the game or gain more strength or more knowledge or anything like that over you.
I agree, and we're seeing the same attack, the same defense. It's a third basement defense. The first time TSM won it, the second time Empire won it. Both were very close rounds and 2 versus 2s. Third time is the charm, but for which team? Whoever wins this will go on map point, and of course if TSM wins it, it is match championship point as well. So Empire, they really need this round to go in their favor, to regain back those rounds that TSM stole from them in the previous 2. And Joystick is out of freezer, has magnets, has beat boops, has utility, and TSM will have to clear it first before making any moves.
Drone will see him. They must know that he's playing in this spot. Again, this same lineup coming out.
No changes.
No changes from Empire. And in fact, playing in almost the same spots. This is vintage Empire, where you knew where they were coming from on attack, and they'd still kill you. You didn't even need to drone them out. But look at that. A nade lands on the head of Dan, the best performer for Empire on this map, removed from Merc, who's been one of the best performers from TSM at this whole event.
Playing very passive against A grenades is such a bad idea, and I will say it one more time before the chaos breaks out. This is outdated Rainbow Six Siege. You cannot do this, and TSM are punishing it so well.
And Joystick knows that there's one at the bottom of laundry stairs, but you need to be a little bit wary. Joystick, you just took a lot of damage on that peak. The smoke will keep the attackers at bay for now, but Joystick can't see through it to get the sight that he wants. Down goes Merc, that's on Scyther. Empire get one back. TSM might not want to be in the position that they're in. The Aruni gate is primed and ready in front of Geo. He can get activated again, but he's just sitting, waiting patiently. Diffuser will be escorted into the bomb site with Geo. Down goes Bolo. They know he's around the corner. A nice pre-fire. Chala is in, and he continues his surge forward. He gets 2 big kills. Diffuser needs to be planted, but they're just holding right now. Empire are holding. Passive, as you said. There's a big double play by Shepard, and they get it. They were holding until they weren't. And it's now Empire on map point.
We are now in a position where this is literally anyone's round, because what looks to be a certain team's round just doesn't go that way. On the Dorms defense and the Dining defense, Empire looked like they had it in the bag, but TSM stole the show. Now I was like, okay, Chala, you know, he was an Ashman at one point. He's now on the support duty, makes a phenomenal entry, gets 2 players, and we're thinking TSM is gonna bring it to match point. But no, Shepard and Always, they funnel through, they find the picks. This grenade from Merc was really good, and Cypher now clawed his way back, and Joystick held his ground and frees a hallway. Chala with that 1, make that 2 entries into the bomb site as a support player, showing that support lives matter too. But then it was Always, and it was Shepard. 6-5 for the Russians.
And that really does also boil down to bad coverage from TSM. They had site control. It's a 2v2 with the diffuser being planted. Nobody's watching Freezer. You've got control of supply room. Nobody's watching in that direction either. And I called this. I said, you want to take a timeout? It certainly looks like TSM have called their tactical timeout. It's been paused for quite a while. If that's the case, TSM are going to want to keep their team through it, and there's some celebratory fist bumps over on their bench, so I'm guessing that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I think this is like a good vibe situation. I also think if you are Pocho, if you're the coach who's standing behind TSM, it could be as simple as going, guys, don't get like frustrated, don't get bothered. Like, even if we don't win this round, even if we don't win Oregon, we got 2 more maps to go, and we're still so much in the driver's seat, because remember, as we spoke about earlier, when TSM can slowly start feeling that hammer slip away and their odds are getting a little bit lower, that's when I think there might be some frustration, maybe some tilt factor to it, even though they've looked really good in these last 3 rounds. So I think you should always use your timeout unless you're absolutely sure that there's no necessary need for it. Empire, they've been holding on Oregon, but TSM just used theirs.
Oh, it's a double Dorms defense for Empire. For TSM, it's do or die. If you lose this round, Empire take their map of Oregon. Again, though, this bodes so well for TSM, and I feel like you might think that we're being biased towards this North American team, but go back to map number 1. Empire got a distinct advantage in the upper bracket. They pick Clubhouse and then ban out a map. But guess what? TSM wins Clubhouse. Now even here on Oregon, this is Empire's map. Yep. And TSM have still pushed them to round 12. On TSM's map, it was a shelling. 7-3 in favor of TSM. So if TSM can clobber on their own map, it might mean that Empire takes Oregon, but Villa's up next. We know that Empire's not a bad team on that map, but TSM picked it for a reason. If they're as comfortable as they were on Villa, or if they're as comfortable on Villa as they were on Cafe, you might be in significant trouble for Empire. So this would end up being a Pyrrhic victory for them to take Oregon. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, because the timeout from TSM might end up paying off. I suspect if we don't see an early pick, things will go south for TSM very quickly. Bear in mind that Empire defended this bomb site only once before, and it was Achieved's gigantic 4K on the window that ultimately gave them the round. And there you go. There's your early pick, Nick. A 5-10 joystick is frankly not good enough for Empire to win a world championship with, and TSM get the very first kill.
It's those grenades, those pesky, pesky grenades, time and time again, finding so much damage and opening kills on the side of TSM. They've been running 8 grenades each and every single round with just 3 flashbangs to clear out utility with them, and it's been working so well in their favor. No corner is safe, no vertical floor is safe for you at all. Maybe next season with the new operator, but not right now.
There's drones being tossed in, still a bevy of them available. 7 for TSM, but those numbers are now dwindled by 2 on down. Achieve down below. Does he have any nades? Yeah, he does. He has 2. There's, again, this 8-nade
here they come.
that's available. And they're going to go out like a flock of doves, but with a very different result. There's no peace to be found here, only war. And in times of war, the people with the better artillery tend to win. In this case, it's TSM. Another nade will go in to bounce off, and Shepard gets away. Merc drops down. Empire continuously being moved out of these positions, but TSM are not finding kills from it yet.
They haven't, and we tried here. Geo tried to breach that wall, but it was shut out by Always. Nade below from Achieve. Can also see that Electro Claw, perhaps no. Another nade comes out, he hears him above him, tries to take the angle, gets shut out a little bit, but this nade can just do a ton of damage. But no, Shepard finds the head somehow throughout the floorboards.
Really well played by Empire, keeping themselves in a position where Achieved cannot do maximum damage from down below. This is the tense moment, but look at Bolo's in this same spot, and they know he has to come up white stairs. An angle being held, Bolo fakes it out. Nade back in hand. Where are you going, Bolo? Hit the Adrenal Surge first, get the mark, but now you're going to be fighting Shadows because he's as good as gone. Up the hatch, Bolo on the ground. There's a pick on to Shepard. TSM will need to run into the bomb site. Bolo doesn't see the player down below. Always with a Nitro Cell. This will be a desperate attempt, but it's TSM to box them out. If Always can't do this, then it's overtime on the menu, and it's a post plant, making things even harder for Always. Still down in security. But there's lots of avenues that the attackers can see him on. He sees one down below. That's a pick on the Merc. 2 more to be found. Always losing most of his HP in the process. Up white stairs. Through this doorway. One of the most treacherous retakes on any site, on any map. And it's TSM with 2 players at full HP. They don't lose a single point of it. Overtime again on Empire's map.
Here we go. Tied up once more. Very convincing round from TSM. In certain parts of the round, there were some moments where we're thinking, what is going on? But the one thing that stayed consistent throughout were the vertical grenades. Bolo, I think, cooked and uncooked the same grenade about 5 times, waiting for solid information where the player of Empire was sitting, and it ended up really paying off. Always was down below inside of server, and he did not flank. Not sure if he was holding that double window jump in or just fearing the fact there might be a player or Jonah waiting, but this right here, the opening kill is what started it all, and that was with a grenade. It was Joystick who got taken off the board, and Shepard who suffered the same fate moments later.
Good coordination by TSM. They seem to have lots of information as to where those remaining players from Empire and the bomb site were, and they picked them off methodically one by one. Pardon the curse words there, but obviously, TSM are actually celebrating less than they did on maps 1 and 2. It's got to be the weight of this moment finally dawning on them, how close they are. They've got Empire on their back foot. TSM, we could have very easily written them off when it was a 5-3 in favor of Empire, but both of these teams, they really stick with one another, and TSM are finding success from it.
It is, and I think, you know, when you're in the first and second map, it's all about gaining ground, you know, winning the first series or winning the first map in the series, winning the second map, and that's why I think there's a lot of emotions, right? When you're on the third map, when you have a chance to actually make it the final map, it's about hyper-focus. Sure, celebration is always important, but you know, it's so much more about this right here. Focusing on the task at hand, the current round 6-6, that's the only thing that matters to these players if you're TSM. Where Empire, we're looking long-term. Joystick and Bolo, they get frisky together, but Bolo comes out on top. Joystick being shut down time and time again on this early roam.
My goodness. Joystick, again, as we talk about, he cannot underperform. He's one of your star players. He needs to be in the action, the cut and thrust of the round. And now he's absent. The good news is that at Melusi, your gadgets will be persistent. They're not passive, or they're not active gadgets, they're passive. They just sit there, they continue to be there. But Empire are running this same lineup again on the bottom floor. Now, the thing is that Empire's record on this bomb site is actually quite good. It's 2-1. And the only real issue they had was the very first time when they lost control of Freezer and then Pillar 2. Are they going to commit those same mistakes? Well, this gives TSM a ton of time to play with because now they've got just over 2 minutes, of which 30 seconds have gone, where they get to get map control and figure out how they want to approach the bomb site.
But going back 30 seconds, imagine if Empire had a roaming strategy to support Joystick and have more map presence and shut down TSM together, that could be a very different story than just letting Joystick be the hero alone. And now, as you said, we're in the basement, and TSM, they've brought out the Flores. They get 3 more flashbangs to clear out areas. They get the Retero drones, which right now on your screen, that's a lot of damage. That's the shield gun and elbow. That's a crucial, if not the most crucial position of Shepard on this backside hold. It is gone. It is not gonna come up again, and you're playing 5 versus 4 already.
I like that Shepard took that part of the map back, though. Taking elbow back, if they don't drone it out, they don't know that he's still in that same spot. A smoke will go out, and then a fleet of drones will also find their way through blue. Always with a nade, dances around it, but I don't know where he's gonna go. He's in this position trapped. You're gonna need somebody from Empire to swing onto this, because always will be as good as gone, and there you go. You don't win those gunfights. Achieved is leveled up on this map to a point where he is so good. Now it's Shepard to go as well, but look at that. Empire claiming the kill feed. They have something going for them. Diffuser is down as well, and it's a kill for Scyther to hunt on it. He'll be able to get Shepard back up. Hold on, hold on.
Oh,
nice play by Scyther, and he might have just saved the round. Achieved is in a desperate position by Pillar. Things looked so good for TSM, but they've gone from bad to worse. And Empire with 10 seconds left just need to fall off. Play keep away. They know that Achieve doesn't have the diffuser, and they know that Achieve doesn't have a hope in hell of winning this round. Empire back on match point.
Scyther just saved Team Empire, not from the series just yet, but from the round. That is a huge moment, as they can now be really happy about gaining momentum in this OT. Remember, you need to win 2 rounds in a row. Otherwise, we keep going. Infinite OT. We cannot go 8-7. That is not a score that happens right now. Either we go 8-6 or we go 2 more rounds. We're swapping sides every single round as well. That means Empire is now on the attack, and this looked so bad for Team Empire. But Scyther, 16 bullets and a dream. Found kill after kill,
Kill after kill after
kill.
And you said the words that I wanted to once again remind the audience on: unlimited overtime. Map number 1 already went to OT. I will remind you that that was Empire's map. They went to OT. TSM wins both the rounds. No unlimited OT required. Here, there is once again an opportunity for it. TSM need to win this round, obviously, to stave off defeats. Map number 3 is Oregon. Map number 4 is Villa. Map number 5 is Bank, in case you're not reading the top of the screen in regards to what map we are on. We're on map 3. And then once again, we have Villa up next, if we need it. Still not sure. We could be 6 minutes away from crowning a new world champion, or we could be significantly longer. It really depends, and it's honestly on the shoulders of TSM, especially in this round. TSM on defense, going downstairs to Laundry. Expect this to be the main bomb site for both of these teams if we go deep into overtime, but if you keep winning it, then you can't go to it for 2 more rounds. It has been by far and away the most successful bomb site for the defenders. TSM won a perfect 2-0 on their half.
That they did, so Team Empire, you gotta now break it apart, right? Joystick will be alive again. He's had a rough couple of early rounds the last previous 3, or at the very least 2 rounds, being the first person to fall for his team. And I know that, you know, every single Pro League player is like their own biggest critic, but when you are quote-unquote the star player as well, as Joystick is for Team Empire, he's going to be feeling really bad about that, and I hope for his sake he doesn't get desperate.
Neither of these teams have looked very confident when roaming on this bomb site, so I think playing closer to the bomb is going to be a smarter move, and it looks like that's exactly what TSM has on the menu.
It is, and they're holding down the fort with a little bit of a different lineup, right? They don't bring out the Aruni like Empire does. They're bringing out the Goyo on Merc. They're also bringing out the Mute on Geo. That's likely to stop the Retero drones, and of course the Goyo shields themselves provide more cover. And Empire, while they run less grenades, they still have 6 of them. So plenty of shields to go around. Sophia, of course, has soft breach as well. The 2 smokes, I think, is the biggest impact here. That's the big key maker, where the smoke grenades will help you block lines of sight when you're going for that execute, whereas TSM were brute forcing with grenades. Well, you got the smokes to work with. No flashbangs, though.
One of the smokes seemingly got bungled on Empire's last Laundry execute.
Yep.
On the hatch inside a meeting. You've only got 2 of them, like you said. You misuse 1. That is particularly damning, because you almost always want to use at minimum 1 of them to try and keep your execute unknown and hidden. You gasped at the fact that Merc almost lost his life at the very first gunfight. Not a great start for TSM, but with a minute to go, no players are dead yet. Nades getting tossed in on blue. You've opened up hatches in meeting and laundry. Empire have made the clock work pretty well in their stead.
That they have, and that's just what's going to happen when you're sitting comfortably on side. Just like Empire did themselves. Now the question comes, well, what's next? Bolo has now shot like 3 Geminis on the freezer side. Empire spread thin all across the map, but Bolo finds a nice shot onto Joystick. Once again, first to fall for his team. But Empire, here we go. One smoke's been tossed, second one comes out. That's going to be the execute.
And they'll go for the drop, but there's a nitro cell. Merc needs to ensure that it lands. Pulls it a little bit too soon. Polo now down. Is he retrievable? The answer is yes. One player from Empire inside a freezer. Empire's execute coming from laundry, but they're pummeling them, always with 2 big kills, still in freezer. 20 seconds to go. Diffuser in Shepard's hands. He'll be escorting it in through the main laundry doorway. Merc, you've got to win those. You cannot let that happen. Scyther walks away with 1 HP. Good coverage. That's Diffuser, almost down. Geo in a 1v3, but Empire, they want to send this to map number 4. They just need a tiny bit of Geo's HP, and they're going to get it. Empire not letting TSM sweep. You put those brooms away, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to need a 4th map.
Let's see how far we can go. I'm down for 4 maps. I'm down to see Villa, Empire.
I'm down for 5.
You're down for I would love 5 maps.